Hello, hello, my fellow adventurers. It is I, Basil Strikes. You have entered the Ramblers Tavern. I am once again joined by my good friend and my co host, the Beard of Wisdom, the Black Dragon of the Midwest, Wormhold. Worm. Oh no, did we? Thought we had this.
Listen, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Don't worry about it. I'm here. I'm here.
Why did you just like disassociate for a second there? You okay there? Did you have a vision?
I I may have been saying some wild stuff whilst accidentally being muted, and I'd like to think that was fate.
just God like temporarily like let's just hit the mute button for you, son. I don't think you need to say that shit
Like,
today.
yeah, we don't. We maybe save that for season 2. We'll
maybe save that for your 50th episode special.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Look, we can still count the episodes on 2 hands here. Maybe not. Maybe not yet.
Honestly, that's very purely valid. Hey, but if it makes you feel better, if we wouldn't have scared people away before, I feel like we're definitely gonna scare. I'm I am definitely. If there are any fine men or women, if there are any of the hoes to be scared, that this is gonna be the episode that terrifies them and makes them run away.
I mean, look, they had to learn sooner or later, man. It's better they learn now.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the podcast where I begged my close friend, the only podcast where I begged my close friend to talk to me in public in some way, shape, or form.
Look, I told people we were friends, okay? I just need you to show up for 5 minutes, or they'll think I was lying.
Listen, I swear I'll never ask you to do this again. 5 episodes in.
Like, chat, he won't let me leave. Please send help.
uh, Today I'm gonna be yapping a lot, and I mean a lot, about my current tabletop RPG obsession, and specifically about just how excited I am for the second edition of Cypher, the properly homemade, not homemade, but like it's its own system, not like an add-on to D&D or Pathfinder. Its own system made by Monty Cook Games. Monty Cook themselves and a lot of their staff are D&D veterans who said, you know what, D&D's cool, but I'm going to go make my own game with blackjack and hookers. And they didn't get either of those things. Maybe the blackjack. I don't know about the hookers. And then they came up with Cypher. That is a true story. It's factual. Don't check me on it, but that's the lore of how Cypher began. And if Monty tells you otherwise, as respectful and as great of a game designer he is, he's a liar. That alone might put me on a blacklist to ever receive anything from Monty Cook Games. Just
Listen,
that one
listen,
clip, he's a liar.
he's a liar. Listen, we've got the blackjack and hookers on on back order. As soon as stock gets made, we'll get ours here into the cipher system. It's gonna be fine. Okay. Maybe get your own while you wait. That way, if it never happens, which it totally will happen, you'll still get your blackjack and hookers. It'll be fun.
All right. I want to share. Okay, so there is a backer kit going on, which is why I want to continue this line of thought in a little bit. But before we go into my obsessions, I think it is only fair to double check with you, my good friend. How are you? What's new?
You know what? I'm chilling on being overly interested in things while I get caught up on stuff I was previously really interested in. specifically podcast, D&D actual play podcast called Worlds Beyond Number. Uh,
Oh, yeah, because like
uh,
that they actually
yeah,
use the game Worlds Beyond Numbers. Like that's like a thing.
yeah, yeah. So Brinley Mulligan DMing with Lou Wilson, Erica Ishii, and Abria Iyengar as the PCs. It's insane. I had started listening to it ages ago and got sidetracked by ADHD side quests and never made my way back. So I'm back now, and that's what I've been doing while I wait for either the money to acquire new games to play or for Destiny to become worth playing.
Well, it's definitely gonna be the first option.
It's definitely going to be the first option, yes.
Listen, look up a game called it's either Jump Space or Space Jump, and it's not going to replace Destiny. But if you want like something first-person shooter gun coded in space while driving a ship with your buddies, it's $20, and I think you'd have a lot of fun playing this with me and the boys sometime next week. I'm just saying.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, I like look into it. I think it's called Jump Space. It is a indie developed game. It's gonna be $20. It's looking like it's reviewing very well, and that's says a lot with all the other games coming out post Silk Song World.
Yeah, yeah. So like that's probably gonna be where I end up going. I'm gonna look into this jump space. Looks cool. I
Yeah.
tried to get into Skate, the Skate that just dropped,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm a little too Tony Hawk pilled for that game.
I learned that forever ago. When like Skate was first becoming a thing, I learned that I really just preferred Tony Hawk. I understood what Skate was doing, but like I just didn't care. I'm like, no, I want to do the cool thing very easily.
Yeah. I like if I wanted to get good at skateboarding, I would have stuck with it when I was 12. And I kind of feel like that's the end of that conversation.
That's just how it ends. That's how it is. Going back to World Without Number, Skate is the best slapstick game and nothing else. Honestly, Ashley, I kind of agree with that. Like the absolute ragdoll physics in that game, you cannot
Yeah.
beat. It's like the only thing that beats it is Gary's mod, and that's just because I just like it.
Look, I can't think of another game where I've been able to swan dive so effectively into the pavement that isn't Spider-Man. And that's a different fucking story.
Spider Man eats the fucking dirt. Spider Man. Going back and backtracking, because we brought up Brennan Lee Mulligan, one of three white men I strive to emulate in my life. The second one being Jesse Cox, and if you know who Jesse Cox is, you already know that I want to be him.
Mm.
I just like if I could just erase, if I could just replace myself with Jesse Cox, but still keep my wife, I would be very happy.
It's figuring out how to do the one and the other.
Well,
It's kind of the whole problem is everything.
yeah,
Really.
no. The problem is everything with that sentence, but so I want to bring this up because I kind of want to be a little catty about this. So you know that Brennan is going to be the next GM for season 4 of Critical Role, right?
Yes.
You know that they are still playing Dungeons and Dragons rather than going into Critical Role's main game, Daggerheart.
Right.
At,
Which feels weird, but okay.
at first, I kind of understood the logic that they didn't want to put all their chips into Daggerheart before they were ready, and clearly these decisions were being made long before Daggerheart's release. And this is the second game that Critical Role has tried to make, and it's the one that actually like caught fire, like in a good way. It's actually popular, and understandably so. I actually really like a lot of what Daggerheart is doing, even though it's not really the game I think I would do Lawn 4 games with. I want to get it eventually just to try it. I think there's a lot of fun stuff the game is doing. But here's where I've slightly altered my opinion. I think it is... Because, like, my whole thing was, all right, Brendan's coming in. Brendan's got more interaction with Dungeons & Dragons. Maybe that's why they're sticking with it. Like, maybe, like, to tell the story of that. Being reminded that Brennan was on a podcast with Worlds Without Numbers, which is a fantastic game and a fantastic tool for world building, by the way. Just using that book to world build is so fun in a game of it on its own. I forgot that Brennan ran that one, and it just immediately made me realize, oh, Brennan totally could have just run Daggerheart. I hate that they're still doing D&D, but I'm also a bitch and am super, super biased against Dungeons & Dragons right now.
Hey, Basil, are you telling me that you, of all people, you are biased against Dungeons & Dragons? I've never heard so... No, yeah, that tracks.
No, like... I've also recognized that, like, today, like, nothing bad happened, but I noticed that, like, my bipolar depression was kicking in kind of hard, and, like, a lot of things were pissing me off, and then I would take a moment to stop and go, nah, this is mostly a me problem. Like, I'm being mad for not nearly enough reasons. This is not anyone's fault but mine.
It's one of those, like, interesting, like, it's supposed to be a standardized adult experience of, oh yeah, some of the stuff that I don't like is just stuff that I don't like. But, like, it's a very necessary realignment process you have to have on deck when things don't feel like they're going well. Like, wait, is the problem that things aren't working out, or am I not interfacing with my day properly?
No, and like that puts it so well into like the experience I had, and thankfully I was able to stop and go, I just need to get through the day and everything will be fine. But with that said, this does bring in the idea that it's going to be very interesting to see where this goes, because Brennan could have done Daggerheart, and Daggerheart is an interesting enough game that I think the group could have done something really interesting with it. Not only that, but like, I feel like if they had planned to use Daggerheart and really show people like the lengths you can push it, because again, with my known bias of not liking D&D, they're doing a West Marches adjacent. It's not a real West Marches campaign, but like that's not a problem. I just, like, I'm that little nitpicker that likes to, like, make things very clear as I can. So it's not a problem, it's not West Marches, but, like, let's not call it West Marches, you know? But, like, they're doing a very West Marches-inspired approach to Campaign 4, and knowing what I know about the rules, I'm just kind of sitting here like, you could have still done this with Daggerheart. If anything, I think it would be more interesting. Even with my known bias of D&D, I'm like, you still should have probably done this with Daggerheart. Brendan would have been fine.
Like he has the experience with pretty much every system out there at this point. So like, especially for something that seems kind of purpose built for this sort of play, it is weird that they would still be playing D&D unless it was like some weird contractual thing. Like, especially because that was the whole point of building Daggerheart in the first place.
Yeah, was to try to... Well, this is where I will slightly disagree. games like Tales of the Valiant were a pretty open response to the old OGL debacle. But when it came to Daggerheart, it seems like they were working on this for a while before they announced it, and then they made the announcement. Like it was timed very well, but I don't think Daggerheart was purposefully like alerted people to on purpose because of that. I think the chips just fell into place on that one.
Maybe. Yeah, I can see that.
That being said, I do agree that I mean, it's money, right? That's got to be like the big reason that they're not dropping D&D yet. It's money and
Yeah.
recognizability.
Like the brand recognition is already there. You don't have to do the whole thing of okay, so the system we're using today, it works like this. It's like, hey, y'all watch D&D actual play. You know D&D. It's D&D. Let's get into it.
Yeah, it's so fun. Like Critical Role, I again, it's a level of understanding of. I understand that this is probably the smarter business move. I get that, especially with like the scope they're going with. But this is also where I'm kind of being a bit of a pessimist, and I'm like, maybe this is like going too far. Maybe this is like, maybe this is them like they're doing something really creative. I think they're actually like I want to make this clear. Just because I think they're pushing themselves and trying to achieve a scope that I think might be going too close to the sun. I think they might be pushing a little too hard, especially with how campaign 3 was overall reacted to. I'm still rooting for me to be wrong because like it's still a handful of like creators who are not themselves a big billion-dollar corporation. They're still in a grand scale the little guy, and I hope that this pans out. But at the same time, I'm also like maybe this would have been smarter to like back up a little bit and do something creative on a smaller scale. But I don't have a multi-million dollar or multi-million watched TTRPG show, so I'm 100% the fat father yelling at the football team. But I'm very aware of where I stand on this.
You know what? You know what? I appreciate that. What shall we call that? Humility.
I think humility, like a self-awareness.
Self awareness. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Self awareness. Like it's definitely like being on the internet. It's refreshing to see.
If I have learned nothing in like the years I have been married to my wife, it would be that hey, you're allowed to have feelings, but maybe try to look at the bigger picture.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, because I know we've both had like some version of the discussion of like, yeah, no, the whole people who play games, reviewing games that they don't like, and then making the fact that they don't like them the problem with the game, but it was never their kind of game. It gets old really fast.
No, it
So
does.
like, so like, where this is like, no, I'd love to love D&D. I don't.
No, yeah, that's 100% the situation. It's just like, oh man, you're just talking shit because you don't like D&D, and I'm like, yeah, that's
Uh huh. Yeah.
absolutely what's going
So
on.
you had like, yeah, it's like, so you were paying attention. Great. On to page two.
No, but like that's also why like I try to be a little bit more careful where I'm like, all right, is this actually like a time for me to bitch and moan? Or like, does no one actually care? And I don't mean like no one's listening to me. It's like, no, I'm reading the room. Is this actually the time? And do I even really want to get into it?
Like, but I do think it is like it's certainly cogent, like especially with the landscape of TTRPGs these days, where it's just like there is a system for every like niche interest you have for getting into tabletop. You know, there's so many like resource manager TTRPGs out there now, and uh like wargaming TTRPGs, and then there's a lot of social TTRPGs now where we didn't used to have quite so many of them. So it's like when it comes to approaching a TTRPG with like eyes fully open, some of them aren't going to work for some of us, and it's important to be able to say, okay, this doesn't work with me, and here's why. That doesn't make it a bad thing, but maybe it actually does. Let's talk about it. Very useful.
Sorry for the slight silence. I now had to change the title because I think we should in fact talk about it. I think you bring up a good point, and like this is like one of the my favorite topics to talk about because like I feel like this is one of those two things can be true at once situations where Dungeons and Dragons takes way more of the pie than any other of the tabletop games. However, we're still getting lots of smaller games that are meeting success and still making new content. And it's funny to
Hmm.
see that happen in this business because, like, in comparison to our other favorite hobby with video games, you will see video games on a lower budget with less appeal mass wide that will still make their money hand over fist and the companies like still shut down the developers. But that doesn't really happen with tabletop RPGs. Either these games are super niche and it's made by like one or two people, they make their money and they move on. That like I kind of consider that for Beacon. It's made by one or two people and they keep making stuff like there's like with Fabula Ultima, people are doing very well with that themselves on that. And then you've got stuff like the Cypher system with Monty Cook Games. MCG is like run by 12 people, and every backer kit gets over $500,000. But then they like put their entire ass into these books, and they're good shit.
Oh
I
yeah.
Lord help me, Worm. I'm gonna talk to you about Gunslinger Night soon, and you won't be able to stop me. I'm holding back so much.
Listen, I can hear your blood pressure rising at the thought of it, and it's fantastic.
But and of course above that level, you've got Coyote and Crow. You've got any of the Powered by the Apocalypse games. Like hell, Blades in the Dark started as a PBTA game and now has its own series of games that base itself off of Blades, not the Apocalypse. Like, individual games are able to make money and do well. They just don't see D&D's massive numbers. And I find it really fascinating and frustrating that we still see D&D and Pathfinder. All respect to Pathfinder, love playing it, no disrespect, but those are the two big games, maybe next to World of Darkness, that make all the money in the world, and yet we still see plenty of really good tabletops getting out of the woodwork and getting funded and existing. And a
Hmm.
handful of those manage to keep going. I know there's a handful of different games or even different people that'll be like, oh, we need way more. I'm gonna be so real with you. I don't think that's healthy. I think this is one of those niches where you can't have too many games coming out at once because people need time to digest this shit, or else you're not going to have it work.
That's a really important point to make, especially with this medium. Like, there's enough flexibility in most systems to find some version of the game you really want to play that you can run at your table.
Yes. Um, and like even you mentioned Worlds Without Numbers. I've read Worlds Without Numbers, and I've even looked at like the sci-fi version of that. I think that might be one of the most beloved and yet critically underrated games. Like I'm cipher pilled to the max from my toes to my nose. But at the same time, if someone asked me to do a deep dive in again into Worlds Without Numbers and to actually run it, I would not be against it because it's really damn good.
Like, I think that's a really the sort of like onboarding of any system is kind of where you make or break people's relationship to it, right? And it's I think one of the reasons why, quite reasonably so, a lot of people over the past decade have been ditching D&D because there's a very clear point where you either can't get what you want out of 5e, or 5e requires you to do too much of the heavy lifting as someone who does not know how to build their own content just to get something approaching the idea you had for a thing. And so it becomes very stifling to work within D&D's system, you know. Like if you get the right source book, it you might be okay, but if you had a slightly different idea, ooh, I hope someone made the homebrew already, you know?
Uh, so I want to tell you mine after, but what was like, as someone who has taken you and had you play other tabletop games, and I'm sure you have experimented on your own, what what are are there any like major factors that stick out that finally broke you and said, I gotta play other games?
I think one of the things that really killed my interest in like 5e was, how long I tried to set up a like Gambit-esque card mage, cuz like the because like I had this idea of like, yeah, no, it's like I'll have my spells loaded into cards and I'll fling the cards and it'll be cool. And there has to be a way to do that that isn't just flavor and actually makes it worth doing mechanically. And then everything I could find that worked for D&D was like, "Oh, you mean like in Final Fantasy when you're playing Astro?" I was like, "No.
Oh, you
That's
mean like Twisted Fate from League of Legends?
no. That's not what I want."
Oh my god, do you mean Card Captor Sakura?
So it's like, like if your idea is just niche enough, D&D looks at you like, "Why are you in my house?"
Why are you in my house? Just literally just I want someone to like Photoshop Wizards of the Coast logo. Why are you in my house? Worm. I want
I
waffle.
want waffle fries.
I want a Magic Gambit character.
Like that's all I ever wanted, man, was a magic gambit. But like the closest I ever managed to find was this really clunky homebrew with like they built the gambling into it so that like there was math to be done to figure out like, oh, you have your deck of spells and you have to shuffle it. Why do I have to shuffle the deck of spells? It's my deck of spells, right? Yeah, but you have to shuffle it or the game doesn't make sense. I don't. I,
What's so funny is that I think even I was one of the people that kept introducing you to all these different things. So it's funny to hear this from your end, because from my end, it was Basil in denial, desperately trying to make himself love Dungeons and Dragons. Meanwhile, you're over here like, this poor white boy. He's not willing to admit it. He's not willing to admit it yet.
like God bless him, he's got heart. But
What finally broke me for D&D is I hated making a character, rolling the dice, and just failing and then having to wait 20 minutes to do anything again.
oh man,
It finally, because like I generally GM. And I think the reason I put myself in that place is because my ADHD would not allow me to pay attention or get like, you've been with me when I'm forced to wait my turn for more than 10 minutes. I get belligerent. I start to get really cranky. Very
oh.
openly, like I become a toddler and I throw a fit. It's like, just cast your spell! It's the same spell. You're just gonna cast Fireball for the 10th time. Just do it already.
What can I do in this situation?
Oh shit.
I think I have a spell. What do you mean you think? They're your spells.
But it even goes beyond that, right? Because even if I've got a group of players that like are pretty fast, like they know what they want to do, then you have to wait for the GM to do that. And like even the fastest, well-prepared GM, my brain is just like, fuck, I forgot we're fighting 5 orcs and they're each gonna take another 5 minutes to actually finish their turn.
Like, and God forbid there should be a mob.
God, mob rules in D&D suck.
Like, why are we sitting here waiting for 20 goblins to all try to attack us? And
I
none of them can hit our AC. None of them can hit our AC. Why are we still here?
So, having played other games that I feel like do mob rules way more interestingly, I started listening to the second campaign of The Unexpectables, my personal favorite tabletop roleplay game, roleplay
It's
podcast.
a good one.
It's a good one. The second season starts a little wonky, but there's a lot of heart, and I also remember that the first season didn't start. Ooh, excuse me, didn't start the strongest either. But like it's showing its merit, it's really going places. So like I'm like 4 episodes in, I'm like, all right, I'm having fun with this. Even the combat scenarios are very fun. But then I'm like, this is how many of the zombie squirrels are there now? We're still in combat. I've been listening for like 30 minutes. No, why isn't this edited out? And I'm like, I know why it's not edited out because the combat's too chaotic to just like skip. It's not worth it. Um, so add that, and then add the fact of D&D, unless you house rule it, doesn't have a reroll mechanic. And I realized how many other tabletops, from Pathfinder to Cypher to even World of Darkness, has like reroll mechanics. And I'm like, that's fun. That's a great way to make it to where I don't just get butt fucked by luck, or rather, bad RNG. That was very graphic. I apologize, but like, I'm so if there's a tabletop RPG where you can only roll once and then it's either win or suck, I'm probably not going to want to play it because I hate that. I hate relying on luck rather than my character's abilities. And I think that was like a big reason of why I ended up making my way over to second edition of Pathfinder, because I really liked the hero point system. You get 3 rerolls every session. If you run out of those rerolls, you're fucked. And I was like, that's a very reasonable mechanic. It makes it to where we're not getting ridiculous with it, and I have a resource to keep track of. Oh, little did I know that would birth the approach to a very different game in the future, but we're not there yet. What other games besides the one I've bullied you into playing have you tried?
I mean, I tried as we've talked about before, I tried so hard to get into both Shadowrun and Cyberpunk
Oh, I would love,
tabletop.
yes, okay, because you talked to me about this like years ago when the Cyberpunk game was both awful and getting better. I would love to
Yeah,
get like the full scope of like what that experience was.
because like Cyberpunk is one of those very niche games that it's like it's in the same sense of like if you're not yet a 40K fanatic and you're trying to get into 40K, you have to be very careful what tables you sit down at, right?
I have no idea what you're
Because
talking about.
you
what
know,
what what do
uh,
you mean? What do you possibly mean, Worm?
uh, like, and in the same way that like 40K, sometimes you think you're sitting down for wargaming, and what you sat down to is a fascism power fantasy. Um, Cyberpunk and Shadowrun, more so Cyberpunk. Sometimes you sit down at the table thinking, "Oh, we're gonna have cool cyberpunk adventures with crime and biotech." It's like, "Oh, actually, we're trading stocks." What? Yeah, this is actually a crypto fascist capitalist power fantasy. Uh, wait. wait. No, no, you're doing it wrong. You're doing it wrong.
I love that idea of like I played Cyberpunk on my PS4. I'm gonna play tabletop. All right, guys, it's time to roll our dice on the geopolitical machinations of this adventure. You're playing my game wrong.
Like, it's like I the whole like pretty much my entire life I've like been aggregating information about Cyberpunk 2020 and all of the weird like back alley cybercrime bullshit that you can do in Cyberpunk. And then the first time I sit down at a table, it's like, all right, I want to actually roll for my morning stock report.
Oh, and again,
Huh?
I might have jumped the gun a little. Like, are we talking about Cyberpunk or are we talking about sorry, Shadowrun?
Cyberpunk. So
Okay,
this is like
okay.
Cyberpunk 2020. Uh, for those not yet in the know, this is the tabletop RPG that Cyberpunk 2077 is inspired and based upon. Um,
Mhm.
and so many of the tables I would sit at, I was like, hey, like I'm trying to get into it. Do you have room player? Oh, sure, sit down. And I'm like watching the housekeeping, and it's just like this guy's over here like rolling for his day job. Like I'm over here thinking, oh, we're gonna be a crew of cybernetically enhanced criminals, getting it by the hard way, however we can. No, actually, we all have day jobs. You're gonna have to figure out what yours is, or you're just gonna have to be like crime all day. I'm like, well, yeah, of course it's crime all day. Okay, but one of our people, one of your teammates is gonna be a cop. What do you mean?
Okay,
What do you
okay.
mean by that?
In the game and yours defense, I've never played Cyberpunk because like Cyberpunk is not usually my jam. Um,
Hmm.
I'm very curious how much of that is the actual Raw's fault, the actual rules as written, and how much of that was just the table being very weird about like giving you a life sim game in the world of
So
Cyberpunk.
my understanding at this point is that it's kind of a bit 50-50. That
Okay.
is a way people do play Cyberpunk. It is not the way everyone plays it, but it is like a known way people play Cyberpunk, especially people who are more like uh, corpo interested. Um, it's just Cyberpunk allows for so much stuff, but it all takes place kind of at least in 2020, uh like vanilla 2020 is very much, yeah, you live in a major metropolitan city. Sure, crime is rampant and like cast a blind eye onto, but like people still pay taxes. Like it's just a really weird thing.
Oh, Devious, listening to this as someone who has only played Red and heard of 2020 a fair bit is an interesting experience. I was gonna bring up if you've looked into Cyberpunk Red at all. Again, I have not,
So
so I don't know
so
what the
red
difference
is very
is.
much like, red is a lot more lawless than base 2020, just because like the time period it takes place in during the time of the red is like there's nuclear fallout. People are like actually diving into like the hot zone to like try to get lost tech and shit like that, and property to try to make whatever money they can without dying because of radiation. There's a lot more like post-apocalyptic dystopian vibes in Cyberpunk Red. And so if the thing you wanted to be like, hey, what if it was One Piece but cyberpunk? You want
That
Cyberpunk
that's
Red.
actually a really actually that is a great pitch. I think I'd fuck with that super hardcore.
And that's definitely like, yeah, full PvP. Full PvP enabled. Yeah. It's ah, it's straight fucking hands. And that's the thing I really want to get. Like, if I do ever try my hand at playing Cyberpunk on tabletop again, it's going to be Cyberpunk Red. Uh, Especially the updated source books. So good. So fuck. Listen, I'm.
Listen, I got you into Cypher. If you ever want to get me into Red, I'm super down. Like, my whole thing is, like, sci-fi doesn't engage me like fantasy does, but, like, I'm not, like, abhorrent to sci-fi. I love the Mass Effect series, mostly. I one of these days I'm gonna get around to playing Cyberpunk since, like, it's actually playable and I can be a sneaky sneak because I like playing sneak characters in games like that.
Yeah.
So like the idea that you said, okay, One Piece, right? I'm like, yeah, but it's cyberpunk. I'm like, you had my interest. Now you have my attention.
Hey, Devious, don't worry. You've already been volunteered. You've already been volunteered. Don't worry.
Uh,
You were volunteered as tribute via an anonymous donor, so it's all good. Um,
just
but yeah,
literally my ass is just like, oh, playing Repo Man in Cyberpunk Red would be so dark but so fucking awesome.
exactly. Uh,
What,
it's the only reason I want to play as a Ripper. Anyways, but
well, which is also like interesting for me to say because like I don't know if I'll ever run, let alone play World of Darkness because World of Darkness has so much baggage to it. But
yeah.
like here's the fun thing. World of Darkness is that table cuz it's like I think some of the best appreciators of the hobby that I've heard and have been talked to and spoken to have this mentality. Some games you're going to read and you're going to want to play. Some games you're just going to want to read. And that's World of Darkness for me because there's a lot of really cool ideas and like narrative concepts that I can easily bring into other games. I am too white and privileged to play World of Darkness guiltlessly. I'm just gonna say it. That is like the biggest thing that keeps me from playing World of Darkness. It fucks with me so hard how well they've written the lore of World of Darkness into the politics of both the 90s and the modern era. And I'm like, wow, this is written so well, I'm actually uncomfortable.
Like it's every time I would hear about World of Darkness, like when I started hearing all the hype about Werewolf, and I was like, oh my god, finally! I've been waiting for this, and then I finally like sat down and looked at him like, ooh,
I don't remember. Okay, so this is good for me to hear that it's not just me because I don't think you were one of the people I was pushing the new werewolf on very hard when I first like was looking into it. I don't think you were one of the people. So knowing that you like just separate of me also looked at the werewolf books and were oh.
because I came in at the tail end of that where I was like, oh, this might not be a thing. But like I had another friend who was attempting to set up a werewolf game because Monster Fuckers Anonymous.
Yeah, you're goddamn right. You're goddamn right, brother.
And so like we all sat down, we were looking through the book. Ooh, I'm liking this one over here. This is my kind of jam. Hey, does this seem a little like just a little? Oh yeah, it does.
Does this seem a little long time no see?
Yeah.
If you catch
It,
my drift.
it's a little Dances with Wolves and not in a good way.
Yeah, and then like the parts that aren't Dances with Wolves are very verily.
Indeed.
Indubitably.
So it's like it's one of those things like tabletop like is kind of a hard hobby to like not so much get into though it can be, but like it's very hard to like maintain your heading in because like one misstep and you're staring smack dab at something that is very uncomfortable and you have no fix for.
And unfortunately like that was very much me with Werewolf because I loved the idea of doing like Captain Planet shenanigans, but with insane werewolf powers. And then like when you go into the deeper dives of what each of the clans do, and like what you have to do, it's like the biggest thing I think that kills me, and this is something because again we are eventually going to get to talking about Cypher.
Mhm.
One of the things I grew to really appreciate about Cypher is that, generally speaking, whenever you're talking about either a genre or a class or a type or an ability, no matter how you feel about Monty and Co.'s writing, which it can be a little flowery, it can be a little like lost in the trees sometimes, they do a great job of giving you examples to do other stuff. So, like, let's say that like you take the Bears a Halo of Fire. Depending on the genre book and the setting book you bought, Monty and team openly say, hey, if you want this ability, flavor it as this. Hi, wife.
Hi, there's a new cookie run update and I'm excited.
Mwah.
Hi, Basil's wife.
Hi,
Gu-
Gwen.
Guys, it's my non-binary wife who made me gayer than I originally was.
I made him realize
Hey.
that he likes men.
Hey, listen.
Out of context, that is the craziest thing you could say as my partner. Hi, I'm
Listen.
the bisexual whose wife made him realize he likes men.
Oh no, don't worry. He
Listen.
still likes pussy too.
Listen,
Alright,
shout
I
out to
need
non-binary
everybody
wives
to
you can
kiss.
have gay sex with.
Love you.
Love you too. Boy kisser.
Boy kisser. Between my wife and you both have said the most inane, insane things that are objectively true. I'll tell her what you
Oh.
said because I haven't had a chance. I'll tell her later. I'll take things I didn't think I'd hear on Twitch today, Alex. No, that's the best part. You know what? That's going to be the next time. It's like, welcome to the podcast where you're going to hear something that you didn't know you could hear.
Oh man.
But no, so switching gears back. So if you have like the ability of Bears a Halo with Fire, every book outside of like the core book, like whether it's a genre book or a setting book, the books openly tell you, hey, here are some examples and ideas on how to transfer this to make sense. So in Rust and Redemption, Bears a Halo of Fire could mean that you got some kind of radioactive power to use fire, and that you can use the optional rule of mutation to make your character have negative effects if they use the fire power too much. In the fantasy series book, it talks about how because if it's magical, they can just keep doing it as much as they want, or you can have a magic item that lets them like technically do this. It's just these really cool ideas to help give context to the core book's ideas of all these different abilities that you can have, making it to where your character is either competent or powerful, but it makes sense. But in World of Darkness, something I kept running into, especially in the werewolf book, is them being like, hey, here is what a cairn is. It is an area where werewolves do rituals and will do all these different things to keep this part of nature safe. And all of the imagery and the wording just screamed Native American, and there were very little examples of, here's how you do this if you're Scottish, or if you're European, or
Yeah.
American. They're in there at times, but like, most of the imagery is just very heavily native coded to where it's like, please do something so I can just be a white guy werewolf and not think about this too much. But then that's the problem. World of Darkness wants you to think about that. Like, that's the point. The idea that you are in the real world dealing with real world problems and something horrifically fantastic is happening. And that's when I'm like, this game is too big for me. I cannot fuck with this as a GM. I could only maybe ever fuck with this as a player.
Yeah. It doesn't give you like a really like appreciable balance between the escapism and the fantasy it's presenting.
Mm-hmm. And some people understandably can fuck with that. Like, not going so far out of reality, but just enough to where they can still, like, explore real life situations. That is good escapism for some people. And that's why I don't say that World of Darkness sucks, because I don't think it does. And there's a lot of ideas between, like, how werewolf society and vampire society can work in certain snippets. And overall, like, why I'm just like, this isn't for me, but I get it. I 100% get what they're doing with this.
Yeah.
Also, the other problem I have with werewolf specifically, canonically, the werewolves are the reason the apocalypse is happening anyway. And I think that was the problem where I openly was like, it was openly just the, I'm gonna say it again, I'm too white for World of Darkness. This makes me a truth I can't deny? That's not what I wanted in my escapism today.
Hey, listen. Sometimes you're the problem.
Yes,
Okay.
and yes, and I agree. It's like I know I'm willing to accept I'm a part of the problem, and I'm doing my best. But it's like, werewolf the apocalypse, where nothing you do matters. It's like, I'm gonna go play Hello Kitty Island Adventure instead. I don't want to deal with it.
It kind of reminds me of like the classic Warhammer problem of, by the way, you cannot avert the end of the world because eventually, no matter how good everything goes, the dwarves are gonna get petty.
Yeah. And, like, what's so funny is, like, in that comparison, like, with Warhammer, that is, like, very comparable, but, like, it's fantasy, it's not real, and there's a lot of ways to get around, like, the things that reflect real life. So, like, my brain is like, yeah, nihilism! I can be nihilistic in a fantasy world. The more real it is, the less nihilistic I can be.
Yeah, it's the thing that jumps into my head is like, okay, so you've established unified world peace. Unfortunately, North Korea don't play that, so welcome to World War 5.5. Like, just, hey, we tried, huh? Anyways, that's the end of the story. But what about all the stuff we've been doing? None of it matters, because the end of the world still happened for things you could not control, and we're always going to put a damper on your playtime. Have fun with that.
Yeah, and, like, there's so many things I've read and talked to people about, like, oh, well, you could run it this way, you could run it this way, and I'm like, those are all really great ideas, but, like, even the problem with that, it goes, like, I worry that if I would ever try to run anything World of Darkness, I would be taking the teeth out of it. I would be basically I would be doing what people do to D&D, and that's homebrewing it to such a degree that it's not even the same thing anymore. And I'm so not wanting to be that person, because, like, I just don't want to come in and be like, I like playing World of Darkness, and then, like, someone who genuinely engages with the material as it is, while also playing around sometimes with the material, then comes to my table and they're like, what do you mean? The game is about the stock market? Hey, full circle, baby!
This is how you run a podcast right here.
I'm actually
this is podcasting.
This is podcasting. God damn, I'm proud of us for that one. Honest, like that. All right, you know what? This is where. Listen, we're like 4 or 5 episodes in, but I think we finally got our sea legs. Like this is the one. This is the one, man.
We fucking got it.
No, you're right. You're absolutely right,
chat,
Devious.
You're welcome.
You're absolutely right. Now, I do want to also address something that Chad is mentioning. I think because like I've been like talking to Devious about trying out Cypher, and Devious brings up a good point. That he feels the same way about Cypher, and while I want to not invalidate that, I think the thing that needs to be said is that why I don't jive with World of Darkness is for very different reasons than why someone might not jive with Cypher, which is my experience is just mechanics. I love the mechanics of World of Darkness. I think the storyteller system is a brilliant mechanical method of playing a game and telling a story. The story is the thing I'm uncomfortable with and do not have the spoons to make it work. Whereas with Cypher, it is just a rule set with a handful of things built around it. It's not the same thing as D&D or... God damn, I am a burpy bitch. I apologize. Or World of Darkness. Like, Cypher is much closer to something like Powered by the Apocalypse, GURPS, or Fate. It's a rule system that you are expected to use to build the game you want. It's just that Cypher is one of those games that I think does a very good ability to, like, give you a lot of options and extra stuff. So again, like, completely valid of not liking a system, but, like, I just wanted to make it clear, my problem with WoD is we are not the same meme, basically. No, and it's good comedy. It's absolutely good comedy. But you brought up an interesting point, and my ADHD was like, don't forget about that, don't forget about that, don't forget about that. But with that, Worm, with your permission, may I go ahead and be completely unhinged about Cypher?
Hey, let your freak flag fly, Basil.
If we get enough people on the backer kit, we get Dinosaur Laser Campaign.
What are y'all looking at me for? You heard him. Go do it.
You heard him. So that I'm cheating a little bit. We already are getting that setting, but the last stretch goal that can be met in like the next 72 hours is an expansion on that. Yeah, lasers on there. Like, okay, cyberpunk dystopia with dinosaurs. The setting.
Yeah.
Like, not only are we going to get that, and I'm definitely going to get that because I went all in, but, like, they're going to expand it. Like, they're going hard on the current revamp of Cypher, and this is what I want to talk about, because I haven't gotten a chance to talk about this on the podcast, and we've learned more and more and more about Cypher 2nd Edition, which it's... So, within the Cypher player base, you're going to hear a lot of Cypher 2, Cypher 2E, CS2. Generally, the game is just called Cypher now, and not Cypher System. And to put it bluntly, they are making changes that I think are so good to the system, and it proves to me how Monty Cook Games was able to take the past 10 years and not just, like, reactionarily try to fix their game. They said, okay, we hear what these people are saying, but we really want to experiment, and we really want to make sure that these are actual issues, so we're going to keep expanding on it. We're going to keep fiddling with it. And again, for those who are new to Cypher, the whole system is just you roll a d20, and the GM never rolls. It's just the player, if they're dodging, fighting, protecting, running, they roll everything. The GM just gets to throw fun things at you and watch you squirm while telling a fun story, which for me is where I feel like my ability as a GM shines, because I can focus more on the narrative and be like, oh no, like they need to fight a dinosaur. What kind of dinosaur should I make them fight? I don't know, a level 10 dinosaur. They can handle a level 10 dinosaur at this part of the game. Go! Fight dinosaur! What kind of abilities does a dinosaur have? It's a dinosaur! And it attacks on level 10! Roll your dice, idiot! That's all you need! You can get more complicated, and my god, are some of the stuff in the book so fun and intricate. But literally, if you need to throw an enemy at your team, and you don't have anything prepared, just grab a couple of tokens and just be like, these are level 5 paladins. Have fun. Because anything the player has to roll up against is a level 5. 5 times 3, because how you figure out what you need to roll on a d20 is you do that math. So a 15. Are they defending? They have to beat a 15. Are they attacking? They have to beat a 15. Are they running away? They have to beat a 15. Are they getting blasted by magic? They have to beat a 15. It doesn't matter what they're doing. It's that simple. Then you add in the fact, then this is one of my favorite things they're changing. Because for a hot minute, the only way to defend yourself was to dodge. You could not... there were ways to use the system as is. Cypher, both old and new, is really like a toolbox system. Like, when people compare it to GURPS, I initially didn't like that comparison, but it is apt. The idea is that the rules make sense and are pretty simple, and then you build around it, but it is way more of a stronger framework than something like GURPS where you have to get way more intricate with it. With Cypher, it really is a... Here is your Lego set. We've already built the first half for you. Now do the rest. And I really like it for that reason. But before I get ahead of myself, if you're defending yourself, current system is you roll a speed task, you dodge. But what if you want to build a tank? Well, a house rule that everybody does is that you just roll your strength or your might instead of your speed. That's okay, but that's a little boring in my opinion. So here's the new blocking system. Let's say you have to fight off against a level 6 T-Rex, meaning you have to roll on an 18. How players in Cypher work is that by skills, abilities, using their resources to use effort to try harder, and to have other allies actively help you, you can lower the difficulty of that roll. But let's say in this scenario, there is no one to help you. You can only rely on yourself. If you're blocking, you have to take damage no matter what. So that's a big change. But it makes sense, because if you're blocking, you're choosing to not dodge. You're choosing to get hit. Now, in the old system, if you blocked, fine. But if you got hit, armor would just take away a couple points of damage for you. Little boring, but it makes sense and it's pretty streamlined. In the newer system, if someone tries to use... if something tries to attack you and do a major wound, aka a wound that gets you closer to dying, and you block, if you beat that 18 because you dropped it down to a 3 and rolled above a 9, instead of taking a deadly strike, you take a moderate strike. You take a little bit of damage, but nothing that negatively affects you. Now, let's say you have armor. If you've got 3 armor, that automatically drops the level down from 6 to 3. Having armor makes it harder for you to dodge, but it literally makes it easier for you to block. And then add in the fact that even in the current game, there's plenty of abilities for, warrior types to lessen damage. So, we're gonna go from, I blocked and made a deadly wound almost kill me, to, so I blocked it, I made the major wound a moderate wound. I have an ability that makes damage get halved, so I'm going to use that ability and make a moderate wound a minor wound. Oh, also I have this cipher that tells me to tell you to fuck off. That minor wound now doesn't exist. And now I'm going to punch the T-Rex. So yeah, I like one of the biggest changes they're making to the game. It's fun.
Yeah, man. It's actually really... Excuse me. I tried to die for a second. I'm fine.
You didn't block. You should have blocked. You dodged. Why didn't you block? I just got done explaining blocking.
Listen, man, okay? I was too busy blocking your words to dodge my own follies. It's fine.
Damn, that was actually good. That was smooth. That was good. Anyway, your thought.
I'm really looking forward to getting a little bit more hands on to the updated mechanics, because it's so much more like fluid, you know,
Yeah.
and it it's again not to spend too much time talking about a game that we're not even playing, but like D&D gets really clunky, and trying to get to a like a win condition of any kind is going to leave somebody exhausted,
Yes,
you know?
and that's one thing that even in the current rules with the damage system working a little differently, which I do want to talk about that next in a little bit. The longest combat I've had in Cypher has lasted 6 rounds in only 30 minutes.
As
Happens!
opposed to as opposed to spending like 3 fucking hours to get like
I shit you not, the
two.
I shit you not, the joke that was made in Cypher, in the Cypher Discord today was, hey, oh, you had a campaign that ran for a year? That's almost as long as a D&D combat. And then
Bro,
I fired back with, hey, to be fair, that's only half as long as Pathfinder combat. And I like Pathfinder.
listen, I will say, at least with Pathfinder, the thing that would get me is like spend 2 hours waiting for your turn. Do the most insane shit you've ever thought of doing on your turn.
Pathfinder
Now you get to
does.
spend the
Pathfinder does. You're sorry, I cut you off.
and now you get to spend the next hour and a half coming down from that high.
Pathfinder, I think, does a very good job of making the wait fully worth it. But ironically, this like Pathfinder is a game I never want to GM again. Not because there's something wrong with the game. It is once again something wrong with me. And when I say something wrong, it's that I found running Pathfinder for about a year. I'm the kind of GM that does not like the rules stifling the narrative. But Pathfinder absolutely never told me it wasn't going to do that. I just had to learn the hard way. Oh, I'm not patient enough to figure this out. The rules are there. You can do this. You just don't want to. However, playing in Pathfinder where I only got to keep track of my one character, I have done 3 crits in a row, and I asked my GM, can I flavor this? And they literally said, you can do the most bullshit anime thing you want. You're a fighter with dual swords, and you just rolled 3 nat 20s. Fuck everything I have to say. Just do it.
That's such a great moment. It's the Matt Mercer. How do you want to do this?
It really was, and like it felt good. And like with Pathfinder, it's one of those things where like we joke about how long it takes, but the investment pays off. And the 3 action system is so much more fun to play with, to where even if I fuck up, I have something else I can do. And then, of course, as we mentioned at the beginning of this podcast, we've got the hero point system. Also, to respond to chat, the only reason I haven't talked about Starfinder 2nd is because I just haven't seen a lot about it. But that is... Listen, if someone came to me and said, do you want to play Starfinder 2nd, I would jump on that shit so fast. If it's Paizo and it has the numbers 2 and the letter E, I'm in. I do not need convincing. Paizo, I love them. I just never want to try running any of their systems ever again. It's too big, brain small.
Mm. Like, and I will say, especially when you have people who are like really well geared to that, like, okay, I don't need every encounter to be a big damn hero moment, but I will set my entire character up for this one big damn hero moment. Paizo always got you.
Yeah, no, and not only that, but like Paizo also, in my opinion, writes a lot of really great, like, non-European fantasy fiction. Like some of the extra stuff that they have been writing lately for East Asian cultures, for African focused cultures, it is so fun to take those books and be like, yes, I have some frame of fantastical reference for frankly my non-white friends to be like, oh wait, I can play like an African fighter? Like, yes, you can. It's right here. I'm gonna fuck things up a little bit, but like I've got a book that did the hard part.
That's what it's all about, man.
And so that this is this and that that's why like even if I like do not interact with Pathfinder or Starfinder nearly as much as I would like to, I will continue to buy Pathfinder books because there's so many great ideas. And to link this back over to Cypher, I have stolen a handful of monsters from my Pathfinder books because one, Pathfinder's rules are so well written, they're easy to comprehend, and two, Cypher is so well written and so easy to comprehend that you are able to pull things from Pathfinder and just put them into Cypher. It's not that hard at all.
You gotta appreciate a system that makes stealing easy. I mean, what?
Oh yeah, Suede is another game I'd really like to try. I think the only thing that would keep me from Suede, because you and I have tried Savage Worlds a couple of times, I think the only big problem I have with Suede is that I feel like the health system is a little too weak. I feel like you can both die and enemies die way too fast for my liking. It's a weird nitpick, but like that's the experience I've had with Suede.
It's the whole thing of like
No, not you,
really
Devious.
sure
I've played Suede with Worm. Sorry.
Yeah, it's that thing of you're never really sure how well you're doing because you thought you were setting up great damage and you didn't get the impact, or you thought you had a serious fight ahead of you, but things are already dead.
Yeah, and I also recognize that like Suede was probably one of the first games that like had a wound system. So like I also very much am aware that like I could have just been playing it a little bit wonky back in the day. Also, a lot of people feel like from what I've seen, the current version of Savage Worlds is the most like agreed upon, like, yes, this is exactly what we wanted. While previous games were a little bit more clunky, a lot of Savage World fans seem to really like Suede. So like there might be what we have to do with that. Buds, I still can't remember what effort means. That's because you never use the mechanic anyway. You just Buns is one of my favorite people to play with because they infuriate me because they either roll really high or really shit. They either roll the best ever or not, and like they don't fuck with the rest of the mechanics. Like I could put Buns in any game and they won't actually engage with the mechanics. They'll roll the dice and still win, and if they lose, they're still winning. So I'm just like, I don't care. I'm not here to convince Buns to play the game, air quote, correctly. We're having a good time. They're having a good time. I'm not fucking this up. I'm not going to be mad they're not playing the game how I want them to. They're having fun.
Buns is buns.
Yes. I accept my failures. Honestly, is it really a failure when you're just winning? But the way Buns plays, the metaphor that I would give is that it's all of those gifs of like watching someone fumble or like fall over, but they recover in such a way that they're just like JoJo posing. It's like, yeah, I meant to do that. Let's see. I think the balance is out. Jayla, how do I play? I'm nosy. Let's go! I think that balances out with Benny's. If you have a GM that's generous with them, that changes the dynamic entirely. Enemies can use them too. That is very true, and I think that's like, especially now that I've played with Cypher with their own meta currency, I feel like Suede would be a lot more interesting to try because I understand meta currency a lot more than I used to. Suede
Like,
is one Go ahead.
Because like I still say like my playing through that one Weird West campaign really changed the way I approached character creation. Because like that, it was like because it was like it's so much more like more than just a power fantasy. It's a narrative fantasy, right? Where it's like,
Yes.
okay, I could make a fighter who's really good at hitting stuff multiple times around, who can tank the right hits and dish them out, or I could pay a geriatric gambler who's so bound to gambling that it's become his superpower.
And that's
Cue me playing an old blind dude who can't take a single hit and is just like, how did I dodge? I bet you were going to swing for my right. Haha, I win. Pay up.
God. But see, what you're talking. Well, actually, I want to address it. I love that. Like, that's like one of like my personal like things where I'm like, this is why I want to go back to Savage Worlds, because that was when I was still not very good at either understanding other rules outside of D&D and not a very good GM. I honestly feel like I've not become a very good GM except for like the past 3 or 4 years, where like things are like everything I've done up to this point has been leading up to me being like, wait a minute, I get it now. I've got it. And even still, I'm learning new shit all the time. But like this past year, with all the different games I've been running in the background, I feel like I've nailed it. So with Suede, I want so badly to play it again, because Suede is one of those games where if I play a couple sessions, I will feel more confident in running it. Especially since like Cypher and Suede share a lot of DNA. Like the big mechanical differences between the two is that one rolls a d20, one rolls d6s. And especially with Cypher going into the wound system, which I will be getting into that. That like the differences are coming together a lot more. Like there's way less the line is thinning between how the two games approach stuff, but they're still doing things differently enough that like Devious and I are both going to have our preferences, but it's why I keep saying, if I like Cypher, I know I can like Suede, and if someone likes Suede, I know they can like Cypher.
Hmm.
I'm playing a
Like,
cleric
I'll
that
say, I
technically
think,
can't take a hit, but be running in front like a tank, and you keep
hey,
surviving.
hey, full send,
Full
full send, maximum effort.
Uh, so I've been hinting at the health system, and Worm, I've kind of talked to you about what's happening, but this is probably the most drastic change. Your character is weaponized autism. It's true. It's absolutely true. I can't wait to tell you guys how in my recent Curse of Strahd Cypher game, I rightfully tricked, air quote tricked, the players into ending the Curse of Strahd, and I don't mean by killing him. So how in the current version of Cypher, how it works is that you've got might, speed, and intellect. And if you take damage in any of those categories, you lose points in that. However, those same stats are what you use to spend on to use your abilities and use effort, the thing that makes rolling dice easier on yourself. This has probably been the biggest controversial approach to the Cypher system, and it's not the only system that uses what I think is colloquially considered like what's the word I'm looking for? Not health system. Damn, the word escaped me. So Cypher is not the only system that uses this idea of your character becoming more exhausted until they actually start taking damage. Apparently, a video I watched talked about how some of the old Star Wars RPGs did that, where you don't really take damage until you run out of points in a certain thing. But, like, to use the Force, you also were kind of hurting yourself to use it, and a lot of people didn't like that.
It's understandable from it's somewhat mechanically understandable. You know, the more you exhaust yourself in a fight, the more likely it is you're going to take damage. Yada yada yada.
Right.
But
Like
it's also like, eh.
in practice, it's not great. It is very frustrating, and it is something that, even though I've been running games for almost a year now with Cypher, even I have to agree is the one part about Cypher I don't like. Thankfully, it's very easy to mess around and like properly gauge how hard something can hit your players so that they're not just dying all the time. Balancing in Cypher is very, very easy because, again, enemy is level 5, it's doing 5 points of damage, unless, like, it has a special little quirk that makes it do 7 points of damage, but, like, you see that before you put it on the board. It's very easy to gauge how hard you want to hit your players. But just because I, as the GM, have a workaround within the system doesn't mean that I've ever fully defended the concept of, yeah, so the thing you use for abilities is also your, stamina! That's the fucking word! Thank you, chat! Stamina systems. That is the word that I was trying to figure out. And for the past, 10 years that Cypher's been around, they've been pretty good about just keeping that in there. And to a lot of people's dismay, it's been there. But I also am like, no. Let's actually explore the stamina system. Let's mess with this. Let's see how far we can push this. Let's let the game develop. Now, after all this time, MCG is converting how damage works into something much more like World of Darkness. Aha, see? It's all circle. We're going into a wound system now. You've got 3 minor, 3 moderate, 3 major. If all 3 of your minor go away, nothing happens, but you do now take moderate damage. If all of your moderate damage goes away, you get hindered, meaning that every time you have to roll a level 5, it's now a level 6. But other than that, you're still alive. Every bit of moderate damage now becomes major. You have 3 major wounds, and if you lose all 3, you die! And every major wound you take hinders you again. I will tell you why I like
Also,
this.
Jayla, real quick, Jayla, I would like to thank you for giving me the term weaponized cancer to use to describe the dark side of the Force. Like, I'll never forget that time the youngling that Anakin Skywalker channeled weaponized cancer to slay those younglings. You know.
He didn't actually use a lightsaber to cut the kids down. He just gave them really intense cancer. just play that Meat Canyon clip. You have cancer now, Andy. It's like looking in the face of God.
Like, look, there's he with the Youngling Slayer 5000 and weaponized cancer. Something something dark side.
Honestly, something dark side. Something complete. Also, yes, Devious, Starfinder does have a stamina thing. I think it works in Starfinder, like you mentioned, because it's like a Halo shield, or like a shield system that in a lot of sci-fi games. I am also in that mindset of, I don't particularly love this, but like, it's different from your shield also being the thing that allows you to cast magic spells, or to be able to headbutt a wall. Like, you can still do that if your character's built for it. All the same, with the new wound system, what I've implemented it into a lot of my games, and I gotta tell you, it is working so much better. The players feel like they are more willing to take risks. They're more willing to use their stat pools because they know that it's not going to kill them. And in fact, if they don't use their stat pools, they're probably going to die. And I will give you the perfect example as last night during Curse of Strahd. The players were talking to the great vampire Strahd, who had played his hand. He had summoned some kind of monster to attack them, and they absolutely kicked its ass. Understandable, I did my math wrong and I forgot how strong they had gotten, but instead of getting upset, because again, I didn't spend more than 5 minutes on the mechanics of the boss fight, I literally just grabbed a level 8 creature, gave it a gimmick, and moved the fuck on. I love Cypher so much! I didn't see this as a bad thing. Instead, narratively, now it made sense that, you killed my pet nightmare. You're a threat. I don't want you alive anymore. And so the players did this big plan where they were going to banish and blow up Strahd. They knew going into this that this might not work. In fact, their entire plan was to test the waters and see, because the only reason that they were even in Strahd's castle was because he was forcing them. So they went into the castle thinking either this works or it doesn't, and we have a game plan to get out. Sure enough, because of the narrative I'm spinning, it didn't work. It did work, but bullshit happened. And now the players understand, okay, there really is only one way to kill this vampire, and we already know what it is. Now we have to escape. Here's where this gets good. No one has taken much damage. I think a couple people had like a couple of moderate wounds at best. Like, they really did a good job. JLo was one of the players. They did a really good job fighting off the nightmare. One of my players has been building almost exclusively into their intellect. If we were running Cypher like normal, a lot of their intellect probably would have been drained because of the nightmare fight where they couldn't do what they were about to do. Instead, they had like one moderate wound. They were okay. So they went up to Strahd. They burned literally all of their intelligence points and had one of their allies hop in, empowering them with magic. You can hear my wife singing in the background for some reason. And they erased Strahd's mind over the past 5 minutes. At first, I thought they were trying to make him forget that he tried to kill them. And then they were like, no. I'm trying to make him forget that we tried to kill him. And I was like, oh, you want to make him forget the bomb. And then it completely changed the direction of the game. One of the players agreed to Strahd's terms, and I got to do the big plot twist, rather than chasing them out of the castle, which is what I thought. If we were running this currently with the system of if they use their stat pools, they get closer to death, they would not have been able to do this, and probably 2 or 3 of them would have died. I had plans, and I told everyone, hey, if you die, I have an adventure to bring you back. Don't freak out. But this might happen. And they were like, yeah, that's fine. It's Curse of Strahd. We understand. But instead, they got a little bit hurt. They tried to kill the big boss, realized they couldn't. And instead of being fearful and going, man, we can't do nothing, they said, fuck it. I'm all in. Either this works or it don't. And it worked. Cypher already allows for cool moments like that to happen, but the fact that now your health is no longer tied directly to your stat pool makes the entire situation of, oh my god, they're finally taking risks. They're finally using the mechanics. And keep in mind, I'm using the most bare bones version of this new wound system. I am using the version that has been told to us without the actual rules that might give them more wounds depending on the genre, or less wounds depending on it. I am using the vanilla rules that they have let people look at for free, and it is already changing how I run this game. Cypher 2nd Edition is going to be my favorite game, and I will never have I want to learn other games, I want to play other things, but if I want a big campaign, I'm using Cypher, baby. It's only gonna be up from here. And that doesn't even include all the ways that they're changing how magic items work, which is way more easy to understand. They're changing a lot of how the abilities and everything work. And here's the creme de la creme. You know that bullshit about... We're going for D&D's throat again, sorry. You know that bullshit about how, D&D 2024 will be backwards compatible with 2015, but not really. They have openly said that in the new books, there's going to be segments in both the player and especially the GM's guide that outright say, hey, if you're running things from this book, this is how you make it work in this book. Flat out. Which I trust because, again, the most difficult thing a GM has to do is figure out what is the lowest they can bring an enemy if they used help and all of their effort. If they used all of their resources, how far could they make a level 6, 5, 7, or level 10 creature go down and then roll against? That is the most difficult thing you have to math in Cypher, and that's not changing. The only thing that's changing is, instead of a level 7 creature doing 7 points of damage, it's doing a major wound. Instead of a level 3 creature doing 3 points of damage, it's doing a minor wound. It is... I don't even have the book, and the way Cypher is written and broken down, I already can run the new rules when they're not even fully fleshed out in front of me. That is how fucking good this system is to me. It's just how much I know Cypher 2nd is going to allow me to use all the books I have for Cypher and easily transfer it over without breaking a sweat.
We take those. We absolutely take those.
I got to talk about my TTRPG fixation on the podcast today.
And now you need a ShamWow.
Maybe.
You
Chat.
need a ShamWow on Isle Basil.
and I'll strikes, please. That connection of your proactive stats being your HP throws me off. I completely agree. I've been able to convince plenty of people to give it a shot because this is the game. This and Nimble, which is a whole other game. We're not getting into it, but like if you don't like D&D, you like Pathfinder, but it's a little too crunchy, look at Nimble. You won't be sorry. Also, it's an indie game, so you definitely won't be sorry. Anyway, that is the one aspect of Cypher that I will never go out of my way to defend because I get it. I can always show people, hey, it's not as bad as you think, let me show you. But with the way that we're going now, this really is going to be my best game ever. As much as I think Monty and team use that tagline so much, it's actually cringe. But now, nah. The paradigm has shifted. I'm here for it, baby. I'm using house rules of shit that's not out yet, and it's working.
Absolute menace, truly.
So, to wrap this up, you want me to tell you about one of their most recent settings books that makes me just...
Turgid?
I could go on Pornhub with the way that I could talk about this book. It's that fucking good to me.
Basil is absolutely turgid right now. Honestly, we should use this to get to cut a quick Blue Chew commercial.
God damn it. All right, jokes aside, I'm not actually going to get too freaky with it. But when I tell you the premise, I think you're all going to nod and go, that's why Basil is metaphorically nutting over this. Arthurian knights, who are also cowboys, on motorcycles.
Signeth me the fuck up.
But it gets better. Mad Max, the world of Mad Max, and SeaWorld. as in that old 90s/80s fantasy movie SeaWorld.
Oh, you mean Waterworld? Okay.
Waterworld. I'm thinking, yeah, Waterworld. So that old fantasy movie Waterworld and Mad Max. That's the setting. The Gunslinger Knights are like the primary pull, but when you read the book and you realize it's Waterworld, if it like got jealous of Mad Max, my brain exploded.
I'm not surprised. You may want to go ahead and actually go and get a ShamWow to clean up the residue from your nervous system exploding. It's like I can hear it dripping all over the mic. It's terrible.
It just turns into ASMR as I breathe heavily into the mic. So to answer your question, Jayla, the entirety of the world is water because humans from millennia ago got kidnapped and they were brought into basically a world of Cthulhu monsters who basically enslaved people. The humans eventually fought back and gained power equal to the Cthulhu people, and they then raised up the ocean floor to create land masses they could live on, because in this world, tectonic plates don't shift around because it's primarily water. Like, there is a ground at the bottom of the planet, but, like, the tectonic plates don't mix around. It's just, like, that's it. Like, everything that is land is literally magically man-made. And then humans did human things. Did a, Oh, am I a robot for everybody else?
That's what I'm trying to figure out. I don't know if it was me or you. You were a robot for a minute.
Oh.
But that might have been just on my end or Discord fucking up.
I did get a little bit of frame drop. The internet did kind of fuck up a little bit. Anyway, I will continue where I was. So after, like, humans warred at one another, the only, like, the lands still exist, but now they are vast plateaus, mountains, desert. Vast plateaus, mountain, desert. And, like, it doesn't have to make sense because the lands were magically made. Okay, yeah, so my internet just, like, briefly cut out there for a second. Because, like, they were saying that you were coming out choppy for a second, but now I think we're good.
Alright.
So that's the setting. The Gunslinger Knights are a people from a land in a world that exploded because they couldn't protect it. They are Arthurian knights that do the whole oath and everything and bless their guns and their living motorcycles because of a magic sword that's totally not Excalibur. Like, literally, they don't call it Excalibur, but come on, it's Excalibur. And the Gunslinger Knights basically fight off against the same evil that destroyed their world, while also dealing with the fact that they are a dying breed, because literally they are, like, the book implies that they cannot actually have children with any of the humans in the setting of Sankara, but because the Gunslinger Knights can literally world hop, it's very dangerous, but they can world hop, one of their duties is to go find people to at least be able to make new babies with so they can get more Gunslinger Knights. And if they don't do that, oh well, that's fine. They understand that the lives they live are not easy, and they have to, like, just deal with it. Jayla, it's because they're not trying. You know there's a high commander who's just like, you're just not fucking enough. Get back in there, son. It is dystopian, it is apocalyptic, but it is also magic, insane bullshit. And it's so fun because the only way to become a Gunslinger Knight is to absolutely take an oath of protecting the people. It is everything I love about cowboys and knights and putting them together and saying, if you're a bad person, you, 1, can't fuck, 2, can't be a gunslinger knight. And I'm just like, well, now I definitely want to be a good person. I'm focusing on the weirdest aspects of this book, but like, if cowboy knights on motorcycles didn't pull you, I don't know what else I could say. You put your goddamn hips into it. Ugh. But like, I love.
Oh yeah, man.
I love the setting, and the cool thing is, again, because this is Cypher, you could have a character take a lot of the concepts of the Gunslinger Knight, have nothing to do with the setting. You could just have Gunslinger Knights in whatever setting you want. Mechanically, you can just take the bits of the lore you want, and just bam, Gunslinger Knights exist in your fantasy world.
What up?
And the cool thing is, like, then you add in books like The Strange, or books like, Predation, which is the dinosaur laser one. The entirety of Cypher is made to be like, here's a cool idea we've tested, and we've put it in. You can use these rules in Cypher games that have nothing to do with this setting. Here's how you do that. Just, it's so good. It's so fun. The rules are so simple. And there's the last thing I'll talk about, so like we can start wrapping up. The Thing, Gunslinger Dragon Riders, we could easily make that happen, because there's already a precedence for having dragons as rideable companions. Just make the dragon enchanted on top of being a mount. We can do that! It's allowed! And you don't even have to try that hard! People have been giving me, for the past year, house rules that I was hesitant to try, and then Monty came out with books that said, quit being a pussy, Basil, we just made them canon! Listen to people's ideas for house rules, because Cypher isn't some bitch game that collapses when you want to do something cool. Just play test it, you coward! So I'm really excited for Cypher 2nd Edition, and I think the main game we have right now is already pretty fucking tops. And I'm really glad I've spent the better part of a year getting really good at running it and playing it. To the point where I'm really looking forward to trying other tabletop games. Probably playing them before I try running them, just because I understand that, like, Cypher's the one game that just instantly clicked, but, like, I don't have the brain capacity to try enough other things without, like, getting someone else's perspective. I've had an entire year working with a community to be like, oh, I fucking get it. And I think it's only going to help more with trying out other games. Basil, you're talking all this smack and still haven't got me in a game. I've invited you several times. The ball is in your court, motherfucker. It's absolutely not my fault. I have a Wednesday game forming, and I'm waiting for you to say, you know what, Basil, let me go in that Wednesday game with you. With that said, Worm, is there anything else you want to talk about before we stop? I already...
Nah, I had a great time today. Listen, we got to gush nerdily about so many things. Oh, damn. Okay. Hey,
Let's
Devious,
go.
you asked
Let's
for it.
go.
He'll do it.
Let's go.
He'll do it.
Let's go. I literally was waiting on you and one other person to respond. Let's go. That's my bad. I kind of implied... So, like, that's actually a little on me. I implied to him, like, hey... are you free on Wednesdays? And, like, I kind of got an answer, but, like, I think Devious was also waiting for me to, like... We're both waiting for the other one to say something super committal. Men. Am I right, ladies?
It's funny because it's true.
Oh, I love doing this podcast. I'm glad you had a good time. I really appreciate you being here, dude, especially when I'm just
Dude,
yapping
always,
at you.
man. The soothing sounds of your voice really helped me combat the dark side of ADHD, where like the boredom it turns into sleep in my brain.
Meanwhile, I'm just screaming about cowboy knights on dragons. Like, the fun
Like,
thing is, a majority of that was used for pure comedy, but I'm gonna listen back to this later and be like, Basil, that went way too hard. Why'd you go? That was too much.
It's like, Basil, okay, I'm going to calmly explain why I like this thing. Also, Basil, read.
like in the moment, I'm like, oh, this will be funny, and then like any healthy adult, I look back at it and go, dude, what am I, 18? Why am I screaming? Chill the fuck out. This is not appropriate.
So fucking
But as everyone is being stuck in ad jail for a little bit, let's keep yapping a little bit so that like people will actually hear what you and your wife are up to, because I like you getting the chance to
yeah.
pitch your stuff. I'm not doing anything besides this podcast. Like, life has been so much better since I stopped trying to actually try being a streamer and instead put all my hyperfixation into dice games. It's like,
Hey, the funny math rocks do it, man.
I don't want to be famous. I just want to be happy.
I don't want to be famous. I want to make YouTube videos with my friend.
I want to make React videos. God damn. No one is going to get that reference. We're so old.
I want to make reaction videos.
Oh my god. Okay, so like this is something very funny as I'm gonna talk about Jesse Cox and Dodger and Geek Enders. But they brought up something that I think is so funny. Jesse was talking about how like the younger generation are really starting to like react to like Lord of the Rings, and like they're like, oh my god, this is so cool. And then like Jesse's just like, why are they like reacting this way? I mean, yeah, they're right, but then it's like, and then you remember Lord of the Rings is like 30 years old, and I'm like, yeah, actually, like Lord of the Rings was almost too old for me when I was growing up, so like, yeah, this makes sense.
My wife actually just like found out that Ralph Bakshi's Lord of the Rings exists. So that's a thing that I'm going to be exposing her to.
God, okay.
The 70s animated one.
Yeah. I think I've said this on the podcast before. I think Ralph Bakshi's very overrated.
I'm not gonna argue against that, actually. It's the problem of like any artist with a like unique footprint at some point is going to get overhyped. And I think one of the downsides of that is it does ruin other people's ability to get onboarded onto the thing. Because now they've been sold so hard on the thing, or they've been in some cases undersold on the thing, and it ruins the perception of what they're going into. You know?
Yeah, and like even Jayla's mentioning that like in a way Ralph Bakshi's like way more underrated because so few people know him. But like I feel like that's again because of a generational thing, and that like he really stopped doing anything on the mass. Like he has not been like within the industry for years, but like when he was a big deal, like when he had his moments, like I'm just Fritz the Cat is a bad movie. I don't. It's such a weird, fucking annoying movie that says nothing except that Fritz is a prick and cops are racist. Like, I could have watched a lot of other movies to remind me of that.
Yeah. Wizards is another good one to point out there, where it's like, if all you've seen is the clips of Wizards, you're going to think it's like this pivotal moment in animation, and then you go and watch it, and it's like, oh, this is what it would look like if the animated parts of Monty Python were entire.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I think I'm losing you with the internet. Yeah, like he did Fritz the Cat, and it's the best way that I explain Ralph Bakshi is that he was the guy who was trying to make animation for adults, but like he was doing it before other people were like, yeah, animation can have sex and drugs and shit. Like, he was doing it when it was avant-garde, and then like it just got pathetic long after he left. Like
Yeah.
the era of Ralph making animation for adults, air quote, was so short-lived for obvious and, in my opinion, good reason. But I will never say that Ralph was a poser or like he didn't have merit. Most people who are like, yeah, make animation for adults, it's like, you're not Ralph Bakshi. You don't get to say that. The Europeans were
'Cause, like,
ahead
even
because
at
now
that
the
time,
Hays Code. Oh my god, the Hays Code. That's a
actually,
whole other thing we could talk about.
so
when
I
we
was
vote.
actually about, cause I was about to say, like, even in like fucking France had Metal Hurlant, which when it came over here we had as heavy metal, like, so it's like we had some really great like animated and print media that was taking what people were like at the time thinking, hey, this is just for kids, right? No, we can make it up for adults too.
Yeah, and then like Jaylee even said it wasn't really avant-garde, it was just the 70s, but like if anything, like, yes, good correction, but I also feel like that also shows like that era of like adult animation, thank God it's dead, even if it was so necessary to get to where we are today with animation, because God, I hate how like crass and racist and boring it all. Like, okay, like, yes, racism bad. I cannot express this enough, but like as an audience member and not like someone that just points at something and go, this is bad for the human experience, a lot of that shit is just boring.
Yeah.
I think that's like the
Like,
biggest crime for anything of that era is like, oh, it looks cool, but it's boring.
like I've been quoted now of like my this would be the thing to get me canceled. One of my biggest problems with racism is that it's unimaginable.
Yeah.
Like, if the like, oh, why do you hate me? Because my skin's darker than yours. I've given you so many reasons to hate me, and that's the one you pick.
I've tried so hard all these different ways. All I had to do was just not be the color you liked. Why am I trying
Like,
so hard?
yeah, it's like, so you're saying that I don't even need to execute my 12-step plan to fuck your mom. It's still not gonna it's not gonna surmount the fact that I'm black. Okay.
Oh no, we're just making jokes, Jayla. We're not talking anything like serious. But
Like,
I do agree that like repression is a factor in it. Like when those things were so unheard of, it was like, ah, but like we're in the generation where we grew up with the internet, so it's like, okay, cool, what else you got? Do you actually have substance, or is it just titties?
well, it's like it's the Othello thing, right? Where it's like, yes, this is a salacious story with a lot of like drama and tragedy, and it's really like of its time a hot button topic. But also, is the whole thrust of it, you know, oh no, a black guy had sex with a pretty white girl and we don't like that. Like, which is to say, like, Othello has its own problems that aren't just prejudice, but there's very much a whole thing of like when the reason for like because like it's like when you're watching stuff and you find that they thought that they were making a statement about racism and what they did was just show you racism without a statement.
Yeah.
And and that's the thing that gets like that's the thing that gets really taxing when especially of that time. Yeah, no, Jayla, exactly. It's like he's not Korean, he's Laotian. Aren't you, Mr. Khan?
Dude,
Why was that so much more racist?
Right! Oh my god! Yes, like the way, aren't you Mr. Khan? It's like, what the fuck?
Like, how do you how do you make how do you make properly identifying someone's ethnic background more spiteful than dismissively saying this like insert racial slurs here that I'm not going to say, but it's like the way people commonly like misidentify like Filipino or like Laotians or Koreans is like Chinese people because all they know is Chinese people, right? And it's like no. I am a professional racist, and I am not going to misidentify you.
No, not only
Like,
that, but
what?
I love that scene because the way that they drew Khan, he looked like he shit himself. He was scared.
Yeah, yeah.
Aren't you, Mr.
No, because like,
Khan?
well, because the first time I saw that scene, the way I read it was, um, so much of the racism Mr. Khan faces is people not actually like hitting the mark. So it's like, oh, dumb American racist hick thinks I'm this. Forget that guy. No, Cotton Hill said, no, I know exactly what you are. So when I come at
Zoom
you,
in on Cotton Hill's face. I know what you are.
it was such an insane moment. But like, it's yeah, he won, but at what cost?
He won.
Exactly.
What did it cost you? Everything. Okay, with the before the ads come back, let's go ahead and wrap up proper.
Yeah.
Worm, go ahead and tell the people where they can find you and where you're working on stuff.
So I'm available almost everywhere as some variation of Wormhole, except on Twitter, which will never be called X, where I am known as _Oracle. I know things and I talk shit. That's me. But you can also find me and my wife making spicy black romance stories on um, actually everywhere AO3, uh, Wattpad, and Literotica under Rage Tastes Lovely. That is the name. Rage Tastes Lovely. All one word.
I think I've said this every time you've brought it up. I love your guys' rage tastes lovely. That's kinky. That's very kinky.
Hey, the wife gets full credit on that one. That's like her username that we post under. Um, like
So
I think
good.
yeah, like AO3 is everything's cross posted under mine as well, but like come on. Rage Tastes Lovely is just God.
I love this. Once again, not stuff I expected to hear on Twitch today. As for me, I'm Basil Strikes. I'm still trying to figure out what I'm going to be doing on the YouTube space. I'm thinking that I'm going to start compiling notes and stories from my tabletop games and do a fun little sort of like interview kind of retelling of those stories. I've got some plans. I got some ideas, but they're still in the workshop phase. Otherwise, you can catch me on here on our wonderful podcast of the Ramblers Tavern. The only podcast where we actively choose to not stay on topic. Have a good night, everybody. Thank you for being here. Make sure that you drink your potions. Make sure you restock on supplies and sleep well. Because the nightmares are real. And you're strong.